You're listening to the VM40 shotgun microphone pack. This is a wireless microphone system for content creators, filmmakers, live streamers wanting high quality audio and internal recording capabilities. Let's get into it. Welcome to the channel, folks. My name's Shane. In today's video, we're taking a look at the Comica VM40 wireless system. Let's talk about the features to begin with, because this will appeal to content creators, filmmakers, or anyone doing social content. But before we get into it, a huge thank you to Comica for sending this out for the video review. Just to let you know, they're not paying me to make this video, but they are letting me hold onto this sample unit. It has no influence in my video, and I've tested many wireless systems and microphones over the last few years, and this was something unique and interesting that I thought I'd give a look at, and I'm actually really glad that I did, because it's quite good. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of this throughout the video and also at the end, so stay tuned. Let's cover the main features. This is a dual channel 2.4 gigahertz wireless system, which means you can use it either with a single microphone or pair it with a second microphone for mono or stereo recording. The microphone itself has a supercardioid polar pattern, which means it helps reduce unwanted sound from coming in from the sides or from behind the microphone. And I'm using it with the heater on, currently behind the actual mic, so hopefully it still sounds okay. Now, this microphone also supports 24-bit or 32-bit float internal recording and allows you to adjust the levels in post-production without any loss. So say, for example, the microphone is being recorded too hot to your camera. If you're recording internally, you can actually fix that in post-production, or if it's too quiet, you can boost it up without increasing the noise floor. It's a really powerful solution, and it really works great if you just want a sense of redundancy. The VM40 works with the Comica Audio app, which allows you to configure the microphone settings, setup, and multiple microphone scenes. You can also start and stop recording and adjust the settings of the microphone, all done with the app. Think of the app as a remote control for the microphone. So if you've got this placed in a tricky situation, for example, you can simply start and stop recording and adjust all the other parameters on the microphone just by using the app. The microphone supports 3 different filters. So we have a denoise option, a low cut, and a high frequency boost. Now, the low cut can help in handheld or run and gun situations to remove low end noise, and the high end boost is great if you're using one of the provided wind filters. You can also use the high boost and low cut at the same time by cycling through the modes on the mic or using the app. While this is a wireless microphone system, you can of course just use an analog audio signal out of the microphone. I'll cover the cables in just a moment. This will also increase the battery time from 10 hours if you're running it wirelessly through to 32 hours or up to 32 hours if you're using the analog audio output. Another cool feature with this pack is the receiver, so it can send audio to your camera or device that you're recording on in a few different ways. There's mono, which sends out both channels evenly, stereo for use with 2 microphone systems, so you get a dedicated left and right track, and a safety track, which is really useful in unpredictable audio environments. So it will record wherever you've got your audio set on your camera or device, and then a second one or second right channel, which will actually be reduced. So if something gets loud all of a sudden, you've got a backup channel that won't be clipped. This is really handy, and it's the way that I'm recording here in the studio. This microphone has a rated wireless working distance of up to 200 meters in an open air environment. But with all of my tests so far with wireless packs, this has to be in very favorable conditions in true line of sight, and we'll test that out coming right up. The shotgun microphone itself feels and looks great. There's a built-in screen so you can see all of your settings. You can also hit record by holding down the record button on the microphone or by using the Comica app, as I mentioned before. The USB-C port for charging or audio transfer via your computer is on the same side with the 3.5mm analog output, which I actually like. I think this is way more intuitive. In place of where the XLR connection would normally be on the shotgun microphone, we get a volume control for the microphone. In my tests, I've cycled through 1 to 10, and there's definitely a big difference in the audio input of the microphone, running it at different gain stages, so just give it a go depending on your setup. You can also cycle through normal and safety output modes. Again, safety is the way to go for unpredictable shooting environments where it might get loud really quickly. There's also a small hole on both the microphone and the transmitter that resets the automatic pairing in case it's not pairing for some reason. I haven't run into this issue, but it does come with a little tool in case you want to reset it manually. The receiver is small and light, so you'll have no issues with it weighing down your camera rig if you're shooting handheld. While the receiver does feel quite plasticky, it's easy to see the LCD screen and the buttons work fine. The clip also on the back has a good amount of tension to it, so it won't come loose if you're shooting handheld. There's a dedicated audio output, a headphone output for real-time monitoring, and 3 buttons on the lower section, which include a volume up and down, with a plus and minus output range of -18 to +18. I'm not sure if this is set to dB on the output, but I've recorded everything on my GH7 using +4. The mode button allows you to cycle between stereo, mono, and safety track. If you hold the right button, it will start recording wirelessly. By holding down the left button, you can mute the signal, and you can also see that it's muted on the on-screen display. All right, let's do the all-important distance test. So this is all going to be done wirelessly now, and I'm using the Panasonic G9 Mark II. Now this has a rated distance of up to 200 meters line of sight, which means if I turn around at any particular point in time, it will most likely cut out. Now this will also double as a bit of a handling noise test. I'm just using the microphone in my hand, and you can make your mind up if you think it sounds okay for walk and talk stuff. So I'm at about 20 meters or so now. I'm going to turn around and keep talking. If it cuts out or does anything funny, I'll post an annotation on screen. Now, if I'm recording internally and the microphone, I have a backup. That's what I'm testing right now. I just want to show you the rated distance. I'm not going to go back all the way to 200 meters. I think that's probably overkill, but what I will do is go to about 50 meters or so, which would be probably close to where I'm at right now. This would be about 40 or 50 meters. What I'm going to do now is also turn on the high pass filter. So bear with me. This is with the high pass filter on. So this is reducing the low end, which might make for a better walk and talk scenario. Now, you should be hearing less low end booms through the microphone as I walk. Just holding the microphone comfortably in my hand. I'm not doing anything special or in particular to make the audio quality better than it should be. This is just a test. And thirdly, I'm using the dead cat or the windsock here, so you can get a sense of how this changes the sound and how well it handles the wind, because it is actually quite windy out here. If I had hair, it would be way more obvious. So what I'm going to do now is turn on the high boost and low cut. So now it should have more top end frequency on the sound, and you can let us know if you like the sound of this with the dead cat. Now there's lots of birds out here today. I'll probably get swooped. Whoa, but that's how we do it. If you're new to microphones and microphone accessories, this dead cat or windsock is best used outside. I wouldn't use this indoors unless there's a huge breeze hitting the microphone. This one here is better suited for this kind of scenario where you're talking to camera, maybe indoors, so it repels all of the plosives, which are those P and B words that tend to bottom out the microphone capsule. Now in the studio, you can leave this on. It's not going to affect the sound quality too much. Just as a point of comparison, this is how it sounds with it off. It's going to sound slightly brighter, but it's also now going to be more susceptible to the wind noise. So if you're outside, again, use the big shaggy looking one. And if you're indoors, you can just leave this standard foam filter on. Let's take a listen to the different EQ curves in a more controlled environment, although I am still using the dead cat here. So this is as it would sound without any of the EQ curves on. This is with the high pass filter now enabled. So this is reducing the amount of low end. This will also reduce the amount of handling noise you get if you plan on using this in this kind of scenario. And now we've got the high boost on, and this will work probably a little bit better with this dead cat on than it would with it off. I find this microphone pretty bright from what I've heard so far without the dead cat. Again, I'll comment on this in just a moment, but this should brighten up the top end, especially if you're using the dead cat. This is with the high boost and the low cut on. So this is the most amount of EQ you can have with this particular microphone. And as a point of reference, just going back to how the microphone sounds flat, of course, using this windsock here. Let's have a quick listen to the difference between the wireless signal being captured via my camera up against the 32-bit internal recording of the Comica microphone. So what you're listening to now is the Panasonic GH7. Now this microphone system has 3 levels of denoiser. I've turned it off, so this is the best wireless audio quality I'm able to capture using quality audio preamps on my Panasonic GH7. And now you're listening to the microphone's internal recording, and I'll just go back and forth between them both so you can get a good sense of how they compare. Now if you leave the denoiser feature on, the audio quality on the camera is going to suffer, so turn it off for the best results. At least that's my experience with this pack so far. Now let's talk about that wireless transmission test that I did. So yes, it failed, and it failed pretty hard. So I wouldn't consider this to be a very reliable pack outside if you're walking around. If you're stationary, just facing the camera and you've got true line of sight, I would say it's pretty good up to about 20 meters. Any further away than that, I just wouldn't trust it. And I'd make sure I have the internal recording on. I would probably just leave that on every time I used it anyway, as a sense of backup. But in the studio, in a situation like this, I've not had it drop out whatsoever. The only other complaint I have is the heavy duty windsock, or the dead cat as I used to be called, didn't do a great job at rejecting the wind noise, which was a little bit disappointing. So condenser microphones only pick up sound from the front here, and it still got through, which was really surprising. So maybe next time I'll try it with a foam insert and then the larger one on the outside. I was kind of surprised to still hear a bit of wind noise there, but as a handheld microphone, it's okay. It's going to pick up more handling noise than you might expect from, you know, your regular dynamic mic or a specialty microphone in that scenario. But these are an overhead microphone. You can use them for voiceover, you can use them for YouTube videos, live streaming, all that kind of stuff. And for that, I think it does a really great job. I just wouldn't trust the wireless transmission signal strength as much as I would other packs that I've tested. Thanks again for watching. Thanks to Comica for sending this out, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.